Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Coffee Table Talks. I've got my cup. Today it's a herbology cup. Look at that, because somebody in my friend circle knows that I am a giant 12-year-old and love Harry Potter. So there you go. That's your tidbit for the day. Today is Friday, October the 13th. Friday the 13th. But we're having nothing but good luck here because we are joined by Jonathan Kimmitt, one of my very dear friends and also a mentor. I definitely lean on him as a mentor. He is the president for his local ISSA chapter in Oklahoma and also a whole bunch of other fancy things. When I met Jonathan, he was actually been at Tulsa University for 20 forever.
Yeah, there was a lot of years there. It was more than 20. Yes, yes.
It was a lot of years.
Yep.
I'm pretty convinced that you're a vampire or somehow else immortal because you don't look like you could have worked there for 20 something plus years and then still
no.
doing all the other things.
I got all the gray right here. It's yeah.
Exciting. With me as always, Will McCullen, the program manager for the IT Center of Excellence at PIMA Community College in Tucson, Arizona. And hi, I'm Rachel Arnold, the human API with SecureNation, and that's Princess. You might see Thor at some point. I don't know if you guys can see Princess sitting right there. Please, my office assistants. They're awesome.
Nice.
The kids are also home today from school. So if there's tiny humans running around in the background, don't worry. It's fine. It's normal. Those are mine. They're not. I expected them. John, you've got some kids too, huh?
I do. They are at co-op today, so they are out of the house. So it's nice and quiet. I've been traveling for the last few days and got home, and then everyone left. I was like, okay, well, I know how important I am.
Aw. So where were you at? Where were you traveling to?
I had to go a couple different client sites this week, and I was at the Information Warfare Summit. So I spent the week traveling. I went to a client where I did security awareness training for the organization. So that was kind of fun. Then I went and did the conference. So I roamed around the conference for a bit, did the CISO showdown, and then I had another client that I went to the next day. That one we did. I did training on firewalls, how to secure firewalls, how to write rules. Just kind of fun stuff. They have a new team. They have a new IT team, and I got to go down there and have some fun with them for a day. Just playing in their firewalls and finding a whole bunch of stuff. And it was a blast.
I don't know if anybody else caught it, but did you say CISO showdown?
Yes, the CISO showdown. That's a thing that we do, and there's a belt, and there's it. The CISO showdown's a lot of fun.
So, what is the CISO showdown? There's a belt. All right, there's lots of things to unpack. Start unpacking.
Okay. All right. Well, so here's the belt, and I have borrowed it. I am not the CISO champion anymore. I was for since B-sides this year. And so what it was, CISOs kind of got together. There was a handful of us that got together back earlier. It was late last year, earlier this year. And, when you go to a conference, they always have competitions like capture the flag, or they have lock picking competitions, or they have all these different things. But there was nothing, kind of demonstrating what CISOs do. So as a joke, we started talking about we need to have a showdown, a rumble between CISOs, and it became this thing. And so at B-sides Oklahoma this year, so it was back in April. I squared off with another CISO, and we had a referee, and it was a bias. There was a lot involved. We had a lot of fun with this. So the way it kind of turned out, so we started talking. It was just we were having fun with it, me and the other two CISOs. I had a CISO as a ref, and then CISO that I was competing against. And we didn't know how to do it. You can't do capture the flag with CISO, so it would be kind of weird. So what we came up with is we got up on stage, and the referee would ask us questions, and we had to respond. However it was, whatever the question was, as it relates to CISO stuff, security stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
That takes all the fun out of it.
Well, yeah. And then, the audience got to choose who won. And of course we had fun with it. So I was on stage speaking before the showdown at B-Sides, and my opponent put on a Mexican wrestling match and stormed up through the thing and challenged me, and I didn't know he was going to do that. And then as payback, I walked up on stage when he was presenting his presentation with a steel chair and almost bashed him over the back of the head with that as he's speaking. So but we had a lot of fun, and we have a belt, and it is a CISO belt, and it weighs like 12 pounds. So the thing about this belt is everyone looks at it and it's like, oh, that's good. Then they pick it up and they like, this is heavy. And it's like, yeah, I carry that around a conference for 8 hours and see what it's like. So I won the belt. I won the championship. We had another one here at IWS yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it was. And Jeff Story is now the champion. He won the competition. We had remind me to tell you about how we got the questions, by the way. But he won, so he is champion. However, he is traveling on vacation, so he loaned me the belt back so I can take it and publicize the showdown at the conference next week, so to kind of get people excited about coming and being part of the showdown. But the questions, so the last time we did everything through ChatGPT. All of our wrestling bios was ChatGPT, all the questions, and he would ask ChatGPT there the day of. So we had no idea what these questions were. And then we flipped a coin. We decided who was going to go first, and he would ask the questions, and we had to respond. Then we could do injects and various other things. We had a blast. Nice. This time, the questions were all about board and leadership interaction. So the board asked us this question: how do you respond? How do you prepare? So it really is what really happened was after the showdown, people would come up to me and say, I didn't know that's what CISOs did. I didn't know that you had to deal with these things. How do I learn those skills? How do I get better at doing that thing that I didn't know I needed to do? So it did what we wanted to do. We wanted to raise awareness of what CISOs do, not just security professionals, not just pen testers, not just SOC analysts or security analysts, and have a little fun with it. And it really is, it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah. It's so this year, my opponent, Jeff, who is now champion, he had a 6 foot tall 2x4 that he called the board member, that he was bringing the board member with him.
Board member.
And then I had, you can't see it, but right here is a steel chair that I called a seat at the table, and I painted a CISO on the back of it. So I had a steel chair and he had a 2x4. So we had a blast. It was a lot of fun.
I think that answers Ryan Clotier's question about body slams.
Yes, there was a lot.
Oh my god!
At one point, I stole his 2x4 during the conference, and I put stickers all over it. And then at one point, he stole my chair at the conference. And yeah, so it was a long day preparing for this showdown. And there was money and bribery involved in the end. So, I mean, it had all of the elements. And I'm going to say he cheated. He brought out this big bag of cash. Now, he's a CISO of a bank, so it's not really fair. I didn't have access to that. But he brought out this big bag of cash and set it on there. And then, of course, he won. So I think that there was a little bit of cheating involved. He's a champion. I mean, I've got the belt right now, but still, he's a champion. It was fun, and I love Jeff. I love working with both him and Kevin. Kevin was the referee. We had a blast, and people loved it, and it really highlights a lot of the stuff that we do as CISOs.
So, awesome. The next time you go, you need to take an air horn. Say DDoS me.
So my plan this year, I didn't get a chance to do it, is I was going to do a tag team event, or have a tag team come and attack us. One ransom, one wear. So we were attacked with ransomware.
So then they'd be wearing on you, right?
Exactly.
Wow. I now see I can already imagine that a lot of the audience members are like, wonder how I can do this with my team.
Oh, I had a lot of people. So, I mean, the thing is, every time I did a posting, I would try to do a different wrestler. So I would do The Rock or Hulk Hogan or whatever. And because I am a wrestling fan. I was a wrestling fan as a kid. And but as I was at the conference, I took a picture of the belt, and it says, "If you can see me, come and take a picture with the belt." And everyone got a kick out of that because that's a John Cena thing. And I had several people come and get, they'd come and find me, and they grab the belt and they hit pictures of it. And it's just an awareness thing, and it's fun. And we hope to keep it going for a while. I'd like to see this going for a few years now.
Okay, so look, I'm going to pop your QR code up. So if you guys want to go connect with Jonathan and bombard him with excellent event type questions, that QR code is going to lead you to his LinkedIn. All right, reach out, tell him that Rachel sent you, and then he'll know you're not spammy. Hi, Jonathan.
You can tell him that.
Jonathan, can I have 10 to 15 minutes of your time?
You can tell them that the weight of the belt is so that they all can develop a good cop stance. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Jonathan, you've worked with law enforcement before. You know exactly what that means.
Oh, yes. 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 The thing about this belt is it's heavy enough that you throw it over shoulder and you hold on to it. And all the old timers would do it that way as they were walking down to the ring.
Right.
But some of the newer wrestlers, they throw it over their back and they hold on to it. So they're holding on to it by the strap. And what I found is it's much easier to throw it over the back of the shoulder and then hold on because it's pulling against your arm instead of having to lift it. I could only walk around the conference for about an hour with it on my shoulder, holding it up. The rest of the time I threw it over my back or I kind of dragged it behind me because it wears on you. I mean, these guys who are wrestlers are in great shape. But I am not. So it was a lot of fun though.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm not running unless it's on fire. So
right.
It's not okay.
Was it taped by any chance? Is there any way you can watch it?
It was not taped. There's a random amount of pictures going around of us dealing stuff and of us up on the stage. I'm trying to think. They just post them on LinkedIn. So if you go find me on LinkedIn, there's some pictures of us up on stage and doing it, and it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, QR code takes you directly there. So go do that.
Yep.
So in between world domination and getting your butt kicked, the CISO showdown. I'm finally doing it, Jonathan. I thought you'd be so proud of me. I'm actually carved out time on a weekly basis to study in between mom, job,
good
house, dog mom, wife, friend, right? Like all these things. And I have a new, we just announced that we brought on board Meg Walker. So you guys have always heard me say, there's my neighbor Meg. There's my neighbor Meg. She's finally interested. She took on a part-time role as a communications manager for SecureNation.
Nice.
So, wow. If you guys get any outreaches from her, she's going to be managing the mailing list. Let me see. Where's that cute? Here you go. If you guys want to join the mailing list for Coffee Table Talks, there's that one. It's just a Google form. Don't freak out. The only thing you have to do is log into Google. But and we're just asking that we know, a name and an email wherever you want to find that. So once a week, you will be sent all 5 links for where you can join Coffee Table Talks from, because if you're joining from LinkedIn, YouTube, and something else, there's actually 5 places that this streams to. So, and that's out of respect for your privacy comfortability, whatever level, whatever platform, right? If you want to view it, super incognito and go use, whatever your sock puppet account on Facebook, you can go do that. We know you've got one. Don't lie. It's really bad. A friend of mine actually has a couple of them, and one of them is a lady. It's an AI generated image of a lady, and the lady wins 90% of the time on friend request acceptance on Facebook. And what's really sad, you guys, is it's almost immediate. There are phallic imagery unsolicited that are sent directly to her messaging box. Right, there you go. John, I just want to let you know, don't do that, and tell your friends don't do that, because Josh is going to collect the images that have been shared, and we're going to make a table book.
Oh my.
So, let's see. Protect your privacy, people. Don't send phallic imagery to accounts you don't know, because it could be Josh on the other side of it collecting those images. Anywho, so there's the mailing list. If you need it again, just go back, rewatch, and hit pause, and then you can grab it. Anywho, because I'm tired of doing this. This is very uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's way too much. Okay, so yes, I'm studying for my CISSP.
Good, finally. That's good.
Squirreling around. I got to schedule my exam. I've noticed that I do not function well unless I have given myself a deadline. So doing that's going to be fun stuff. So after CISSP, oh mentor, oh mine. What else should I go for? I think a CISM, CISM.
Okay, well,
guide me, oh wise one.
I tell people a slightly different path, and I can explain why. So I always tell people you really want that that generalized, broad cert in security first. So CISSP, Sec Plus, something like that. It covers a kind of that broad amount of topics, all the different domains. And then when I tell people that, I say, okay, you will, as let's say you're studying for the Sec Plus, the CISSP, you will find things that you really like. You'll find stuff that you don't like. You may not care anything about encryption, other than you got to know what it is. You need to know some jargon, things like that, but you don't like doing that. Okay, then I wouldn't explore encryption anymore for you, because that's just not what you need to do. So as you're going through this, see the things that you enjoy doing, and then explore that with more training, more education, more certifications. I will generally tell security professionals, let's say they get their Sec Plus, which is very similar to the CISSP. It's just a little bit less content. You get your Sec Plus, you really need to go get something from an attack point of view, like a CEH. Now, I bet people will go nuts in the comments about how CEH is worthless and that it's useless, and they'll say that about certs as well. But the reality is, learning is never a bad thing, and no one should ever be put down because they want to learn. And some people want that structure to go learn a particular topic. So if someone goes and gets a CISSP like what you do, I would actually encourage you to go and look at something that deals more with attacks. So maybe a CEH or something like that, because if you don't know the kinds of attacks that are coming into an organization, you don't know how to defend against them. So having that background, having that terminology, having that jargon, and understanding how those attacks work makes you a better security professional. So that's kind of my recommendation if that's kind of the direction you want. Now, you can't go wrong doing something like a CISM or a CIPM if you wanted to do a kind of a privacy management thing. Or if you wanted to go do ITIL and get kind of that infrastructure stuff. I mean, all of those are great trainings and things to learn and things to implement in an organization. But I tell people from a security perspective, if you really want to get in the security realm and you want to spend time in it, you're going to have to learn the background on it. And the background really is the attacks. Learn the attacks and how those attacks work. You don't have to be able to do them necessarily, but you need to know what they are. That way, when you're implementing new security controls, you're doing it for the right reasons. I hate going into organizations now, and I see all these security controls that they've deployed. I was like, great, this is a great tool. What are you defending against? What is it? What actual risk and threat do you have that you needed to deploy this? And they don't know. They don't know the attacks. Even when I do security awareness training now, I don't do traditional security awareness training. I do attack awareness training, and people love it, and because it's very different than what they're having to do. So that's my recommendation. My 2 cents, I guess.
Here,
So, Will, I'm going to flash the PIMA cybersecurity range QR code up next because I can see you're like, go ahead.
I agree 100%. I mean, Jonathan and I have had conversations in this past, and that's the whole concept of the range that we're doing at PIMA is the hands-on. The beauty of that, and I know Jonathan will share this view because this needs to be out across community colleges and universities across this nation. One of the big difficulties in higher ed, and regular listeners have heard me say this, is that we've broken the system for teaching IT. Mm-hmm. And there's not enough actual hands-on, actual doing. When you get into IT and you run into a problem, it's not going to give you 4 different choices to pick from, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we're doing in the yes, PIMA Community College has online classes as well, but we highly encourage you to come in and be part of the physical hands-on structure, right? Because with the cyber range attached, free and open to the public, we have cyber professionals in the industry coming and hanging out and being part of. And it creates a safe space where you can come in and say, I don't know how to do this. Because you're spot on. If you have no idea how to attack, you have no idea of how to set up your system and go, okay, how would I go about trying to attack this? If you don't have that perspective, you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even put a slightly different way. I've done martial arts for most of my life. And for 35 some odd years, I can take somebody and I can teach them a high block and I can have them do 1,000 reps for weeks and weeks and weeks. They do not know what that high block means until they get punched in the nose. Then they know what that high block is supposed to do. And that's the reality. I mean, the hands-on thing that you guys do is just so incredible and so valuable for the students. When I take somebody and they come to me and they say that they've got these cert or this education or whatever, I was like, that's great. That is a great starting point. Go get you 2 years at a help desk, because then you'll know what those things actually mean. Go spend some time in the trenches. I did a podcast with Donovan, my boss, and we get these questions all the time. How do I break in? How do I get in the industry? And I came from higher ed. I do have degrees. I have degrees in management, by the way, and I was law enforcement before that. Before I went into IT and IT security. So I did not have a traditional upbringing in IT security or even IT. You just kind of figured it out as you went. This is early 2000s. We talked about Wild Wild West. That was the Wild Wild West of IT support. But we get these questions all the time. How do I get in? And it's like, well, here's the deal. You can absolutely get into a job and start doing it. People do it all the time. They get thrust into a position and they have to learn on the job. Being successful is a completely different thing, though. If you want to come in, IT security is not entry level, by the way. You have to have some background to get into IT security, was what I believe. I strongly believe. But that background can be a variety of things. You could come in as a help desk person or a networking person. You can come in as a lawyer. You can come in as a GRC. You can come in as a project manager. You can come in all these different things and be successful in the IT security profession. But if somebody came up to me and said, okay, I'm a high school student. I want to get into cybersecurity. It's like, great. Are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to Votech? Are you going? What are you going to do? What is your next step in life? And they say, well, I want fastest way to get into it. It's like, okay, well, here's the fastest way. Get in and go get you a job and work your butt off. and be successful at that help desk job, that knock, that SOC, that call center, whatever you got, and work your way up. Then start looking at jobs like, hey, I got 2 years, 3 years, 4 years as help desk. I bet you I could go be an entry level security analyst. I could go. I've seen some. I've seen how password problems work. I've seen how phishing works. I've seen how this stuff works. I could go and I can start helping people then. If maybe you want to speed it up a little bit, go get you a help desk job, go to college and work on some cybersecurity classes, some boot camps, do whatever. That might take a year off or maybe 2 years off because you're doubling up your time. You're still putting the time and grade in. You might be doing it day and night for a couple of years, but that's really important to do. And I get people who, again, they complain about, certs don't mean you know anything about security. Well, you're right, it doesn't. But neither does experience. I mean, I've had people that had 15 years experience who didn't know anything about the job. They just did the bare minimum and got away with it. So that's just a reality. However, I have seen people that have come up through the ranks. They did a year at call center, they did a year at help desk support, and then they jumped into a SOC analyst and they were great. And they started exploding up through the ranks because they put in the time. They listen to the podcast. They listen to stuff like this where professionals are talking about this. They had a mentor. They went and did classes at a college. They went and did boot camps. They did studying on the online platforms. They got the books. They got the training in their own labs and their virtual labs, and they exploded.
Yeah.
There's no one answer.
You want a great place to start a career with a whole bunch of fantastic experience? Go work for K-12. There you have an environment. Hear me out. There you have an environment where you have a large number of users, right?
Yep.
Thousands. You have an environment where you don't have enough people, not enough pay, so that all you need is to have energy and enthusiasm. And, hey, I've got a great idea. Oh, wonderful. Thanks for volunteering. Make it go, right? And you find yourself immediately hitting a large variety of technologies. Everything from the server to networking to working with people to help desk to learning to all can happen there. And what it needs more than anything else is enthusiasm and initiative.
Yeah. Well, and I always tell people that
you had students coming in on the SOC, right?
Yeah. When I was there, and here's the thing, I had students that came in who were in the cybersecurity program. They were undergrad cybersecurity. When they came in, we did our trainings, and I taught them the stuff that I needed them to do in the SOC. At the end of the year, the CIO wanted to meet with every single one of them and say, hey, tell me what you learned. Was this program, and of course I was in the room, I was kind of in the back, and they says, was this useful to you? Is this something that, and every single one of them says, I didn't know anything about security until I got here. I knew a lot about security stuff, but now I know what security actually means. And that's protecting people, protecting systems, defending against the attacks. So when they got that hands-on experience, like what you're doing, where they're actually seeing it and they're defending against it, or they're attacking it, they're building systems to attack it, they are really learning. And the other thing I always told them when they came in, it's like, this network, at the higher ed is the most hostile network in the state, because we have the residential network completely unmanaged, thousands upon thousands of machines. I mean, we had, in some cases at times, nation state attackers using computers on that residential network. You get so much experience doing that. So I agree. Go to that K through 12, go to that higher ed, go to the community college. Now, you're probably not going to make a whole lot of money, but by God, you're going to get so much experience and be able to turn around and use that to your advantage. That, I think, is the most important part.
Absolutely. And high schools, right? If you are a lab person for a high school, you are on a network where you have a whole bunch of very intelligent folks who have a whole lot of time on their hands and are trying to bring the network down, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Talk about insider threats. You're not going to get in a better situation than in a high school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh worked for a public school system for a little while, and it was darling. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. He found some though that were like he would bring up the fact that right, but that also goes to like how businesses operate, right? So like the schools Wi-Fi network was open to the public. Like it was not password protected, but it was segmented off, right? It was like the student one. And Josh brought up concerns to them about that. He was like, wait, so you mean you guys are just letting anybody like out in the parking lot connect to the school's network? And right, as security professionals, you're like, that's a bad idea, guys.
That's a compliance
bad
problem.
idea.
That's a CALIA problem.
Right?
So that's something that somebody needs to bring up to them. It's like, hey, you can't really do this, and here's the reasons why. But yeah, but that happens a lot.
It does. And then the other thing was that but in the school's mind, they were helping the community because they were in a lower economic neighborhood, right? And not everybody could afford internet. So their students literally would come and sit at picnic tables in like near the parking lot and do homework and stuff. So it's this balance, right? Where they had to get there, and you know, Joshua helped guide them through how to do that safely, how to still offer it. But like that wasn't that long ago. Like, and you, right, as a security professional, you're like, what? Or just a security minded anybody. You're like, why though?
Well, I mean, I went to the dark side. You know, I left higher ed and went to consulting. I went to a vendor, which I love my job. I love my company. They're great people. We do great things. But one of the things that I'm finding out is cybersecurity as a concept really kind of started growing in the early 2000s. I mean, it was before that. It was, war games and all that stuff from the movie. But regardless, about early 2000s, when people started having CISOs, they started having security teams, CSRT, CERT teams and such. I believe that those organizations that are going to have security teams already have them. Everybody else is not going to get a full out security team or a CISO. They're going to have to contract out, or they're going to have to go and find someone to help them. And now, honestly, that is why we are seeing so many advancements in the compliances and the requirements for reporting, because these organizations aren't doing it themselves. They are not stepping up saying, hey, yeah, we need to implement a CISO program. We need to bring in a security team. We need to do this. So society as a whole is going, okay, well, if you're going to have data, you need to protect it. If you have a breach, you need to report it. That's kind of how this stuff is going. So I think, as we are going forward, a lot of organizations are not going to get security professionals. They're going to rely on maybe software as services, maybe third-party contractors, whatever. Now, one of the things that about 2 years ago, I reached out to our local Tulsa Tech College here in Oklahoma, and I was like, you guys don't have anything cyber for anything. They had a few classes for their traditional students, but nothing for their non-traditional classes. So I offered, like, hey, why don't you do something like cybersecurity for small business? Something easy, something 2 days. Here's the topics you should cover. They said, this is great. Would you teach it? It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't planning that.
No.
But I did, and I love it, and I love doing it. Yeah. I spend more money on the equipment that I take in there to show them than I make in teaching it. But every single time I have a class, and usually it's anywhere from 4 to 10 to 15 people, just depending on the time of year. In fact, the last one I did was a couple of weeks ago. So it's 2 nights, it's 3 hours a night, and I'm just going over some very basic things for a small business to think about in terms of their inventory, their network, their patches and things. And everything I told the person, the young woman that was there, she goes, "Jonathan, every time you bring up a new topic, you are costing me money." Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
but
However, let's talk
right.
about the risks. And she goes, "No, no, no. I understand. I never knew that I had these risks as a small business owner. I never knew I had to, think about having this person's data and what I need to do with it and these compliances." Um, and it's like, this is why I'm doing that job. This is why I'm going and teaching that, because no one is teaching people this stuff. Small businesses. I mean, I would love to have this stuff in elementary school and teaching people, kind of that purity of good things to do in the cyber world, personal use devices, home computers, whatever. But it's hard. It's hard to get people to do it. People who take my classes, they love it. But I don't want to say that. That'll make people mad. But they love it, and they tell other people to come and take it, and they come and take it, and they love it. But it's not very popular out there. I would love that every community college out there has something for small business, especially if they have like a entrepreneurial program or something like that. Teach them some cybersecurity stuff before they go build that business, so they can implement that stuff in the very, very beginning.
Absolutely. And you're in a very unique position. Okay. I love it. Are you ready for this one? So you've been in the education mindset.
Uh-huh.
You've been heavily involved with business and organization that way. And I think one of our folks brought up, I think it was Brent in there, the same universities can offer extension programs to adults like veterans boot camps, and brought about the average cost. That cost is a huge difficulty coming up. And so you brought up, now you have that marriage of all this taking place, of how badly it's needed, how we need to be able to teach experientially,
Mm-hmm.
not just by regurgitation of knowledge, right?
Right.
And have business be on board. So, here at PIMA, a massive number of our teachers are all adjuncts. There are folks in the business. There are folks that there's no way we could afford them. They're here by their passion, right?
Yeah.
So in your mind, what do you see as possible solutions? Because the way I see it is that we've got to find a way to get business to be part of developing the new generation. You agree? What are your thoughts?
I'm going to disagree with you.
Awesome.
I don't disagree with you for one thing. I don't want people to take that as I'm like,
yeah.
I think we have to do it at a people level. So I've been doing a lot. I'm gonna sidestep it for just a second. I'm gonna come back.
Okay.
So I've been doing a lot of security awareness training this month because it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and organizations are hiring me to come in and teach cybersecurity awareness training. And I go in and I tell them, like, yeah, I don't do cybersecurity awareness training. I do attack awareness training. If you want to learn about phishing, we've got, all these programs that you can go and you can do the phishing training and whatever. But I've got this slide. I guess I could show the slide. Can I show the slide?
Yeah, you can pull it up, and then all you got to do is just let me know you want to show something.
Let's see if I have it up.
Okay.
I do.
Hey.
How do let's see. This is live, people. You should never do things live. Live demos, bad idea on live podcasts.
Did you find the share screen button at the bottom?
I did. I'm going to let's do this.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm going to be your tech support for today. You should be terrified.
Okay, so give me this window. This one. Share.
And then I go like this. and then I turn a little button, and then now it's black. Why are we looking at black stuff?
I don't.
What's going on?
I don't know. Okay, here, let me try it again then.
Okay.
I probably screwed it up here. So let's
That's
share.
okay.
I
love it. SecureNation says life sharing is caring.
Yes.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite way to do stuff. I like to click all the buttons while we're live. That's fun. If you go back and watch previous episodes of this, you can. There's at least one flub up, like every episode. It's still nothing on there, buddy.
Yeah, that's not working. Okay, so let's stop that. Let me tell you what it's about. So these are
Okay.
So this is like my number 2 slide or number 3 slide, and it's risks. So when I'm going to read these risks off to you, but before I do that, let me ask you, when we normally talk about risks as it relates to cybersecurity, doing good cybersecurity hygiene, what are some things that people say all the time? What would you guys say if I just said, "Hey, what are some of the risks?"
Know your assets.
Okay.
Keep a.
Yep. What is the risk for not doing that though? If you don't do those things, what kinds of things could happen?
Things drop out. They become vulnerable. They don't get patches. They don't.
Yeah. They don't get patches. They don't get tooling. They don't get monitored. They're not tracked. We don't know where they went. We don't know if somebody stole it. We don't know if somebody broke into it. We don't know if somebody created a new account. We don't know if somebody laterally moved. We don't know, like all kinds of things.
So let me read off what my risks are. Because absolutely, that is what people will say. And and it's all absolutely true. But here's the risk that I put on this presentation or these presentations when I do them. Number 1, they can take all your savings. They can max your credit cards. They can take all your retirement. They can ransomware all of your pictures and documents. They can take over all your devices. They can record your internet activities. They can plant evidence on your computers. They can use your computer to do bad things. They can destroy your equipment. They can hurt your family members. They can hurt your reputation. They can make you violate regulatory requirements. You could lose your job and you can go to jail.
Yep.
Whenever I show this slide and walk through that, especially the plant evidence on computers, because that really freaks people out.
Yeah.
It now has made it a personal conversation.
Yeah.
It's now,
definitely.
Oh, they're doing this to me. It's like, yes, they are. And when I show them this, when I talk about this, it now becomes, oh, that person's doing something to me. They're not attacking a computer. They're attacking me. They're hurting me. So when I can get that hook in them and I can get them to understand that this is the reason why we deploy multi-factor. This is why we deploy encryption. This is why we deploy patch management and we take administrator rights away. We do because of all of these things that are happening to people.
Yeah.
They're like, I never knew that. I never thought about that. So the plant evidence on computers, when I talk about that, it's like if someone is in on your computer, they can take your pictures and they can do this, but what if they just don't like you? So
Jonathan, these are, I don't know why, but Jonathans are some of the best people. Will's too. Will's a good person. But anyway,
my first name is John. Does that help?
Is it really? Is that the J in the JW McCullen? Okay. Right. Look, Jonathan and Jonathan, I'm sure we can get a little secret squirrely Rachel roundtable together and have Jonathan share that stuff.
No, I'm happy to share that stuff. I mean, this stuff, I want people to, if they can start using this in their own security awareness trainings, absolutely do it. It really helps people understand the difference in this old fashioned, we've got to protect this stuff to protect the company versus we are protecting people. People is why we do this thing we do. People is why we have things like the CISO Showdown, because we have a bunch of CISOs who want to go and help people. Now, back to your question. Well, the way to
wait, Jonathan, wait, real quick. Jonathan, I'm gonna send an email, start an email chain. So the Jonathans can.
Okay.
Anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead. Okay, great.
So you said, how do we get people involved? How do we get people engaged? Well, I think number one, we have to get people to understand the real risks. We have to get CISOs and security professionals to turn back to the community. Can you imagine? So somebody was talking about earlier about boot camps are $2,500, or some of them are $10,000 nowadays. What if we had every CISO go and teach one community class a semester? That's
Any
one
interest,
night.
come talk to me.
But really and truly, I mean, I see when we started the CISO showdown, it was to get CISOs involved back in the conferences. They weren't going to conferences. They weren't involved in that stuff anymore. They had moved up the ranks, and we're trying to get them back. And there's 10 or 15 or 20 that are really this core group here in Oklahoma. And we work together. We do events. We go out there, and every single one of them are teaching at a college. They're teaching at what's the Patriot Guard one, the for the kids. I can't think what it's called. What's that? Cyber Patriots. That's it. They're doing that. They're providing back to. If we could get every CISO, every director of IT security, whatever it may be, go teach a community class. Do it for free. Do it for $10, whatever it is. Get out there. So one of the comments was talking about veterans. One of the things that I did before I left my previous job was I had a really good relationship with our veterans coordinator. I hired a lot of veterans. Getting veterans into cybersecurity, it's an easy fit. They already know that defense mentality. They already have that mindset of mission. They learn quickly. They've got life experience to draw on. They are great in security. So what I did was I had several of them who come in, and I hired them. I was like, hey guys, do you have friends that would like to just come up here on a Thursday night, 6 to 9 for free? Have them come in the room, and I can teach them about threat intelligence. I can teach them about doing some things. And they loved it, because they're coming out of this environment where they have camaraderie, they have brotherhood, they have sisterhood, they have all this stuff, and they learn, and they're, but they don't know what to do when they get out. So we had an outlet for them, and the veterans coordinator loved it. The people who'd come in and did it loved it. And it was just a lot of fun. And it was 3 hours a time. And I went in, I taught them some threat intelligence, or I taught them a little bit about using Metasploit, or whatever we were teaching that night. And they enjoyed it. And what I was hoping they would do is maybe I could get a spark in them. If I could get a spark that they love to do this job, and they realized that they could do this job. They got rid of that imposter syndrome. They knew that they could learn it. They could do it well. They could go out and get maybe an entry-level job somewhere, and they could do it for a couple of years, and then they could start growing and getting, more jobs or different jobs or whatever. And it was 3 hours of time. I mean, it was nothing, and I bought them pizza. We sat down and we talked, and I showed them stuff, let them play on the computers, had the big screens up so everyone could see what we were doing. It was a blast.
That's awesome.
So, I mean,
That's awesome.
It's not hard. I think that if we built the community that way, then we could do so many wonderful things. Now, what happens is when we start building the community, then expectations are going to change, and expectations are going to change at the business level. Because if people know what better cybersecurity means, when they go to a business and they see that business does not have it, they're going to question it. They're going to say, why aren't you guys protecting my stuff? I've gone to places where I saw that what they were doing was not PCI compliant. I absolutely did not pay with my credit card.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, just
I'm like,
nope.
Somebody else tells it.
Right.
I'm like, I'm good.
Right. So I think as we build the community, like these small business owners these people are growing. They're going to have very large businesses based on what I hope they do. I mean, I really do. but I want them that when they build their small business, that they're thinking about cybersecurity. So when they grow, they go, you know what? We do need to have cyber professionals. We do need to be doing this the right way because I don't want to lose people's data. I don't want to get people hurt. So anyway, that's my sorry, I got in my box there.
Oh,
No,
I 100% agree. Right, because what you described is happening at the cyber range. For the statement that was brought up, yes, we do have elements that combine with the community. We have our student club Discord is over 300 strong, and
I help.
we have, yeah, and as Rachel knows,
I threw some mentory type people in there.
we have all sorts of folks in there.
Yeah.
Even like Laura Chappell. Shout out to Laura if you're listening.
Yeah.
Who wrote a book on Wireshark, right? And she's working with Vince Cerf at NASA doing interplanetary communications, and she's hanging out on our student group, right?
Yeah.
That you nailed it in that people forget when they go through IT that the whole concept is if you want to do IT well, you build the system to fit the people. You don't fit the people to the system.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's where we're making major mistakes there. I would say as an industry in IT, we've messed it up badly because if trying to be secure is so complex that nobody can understand it, there, we've created the vulnerability. We've created the problem.
Well, and I think that one of the problems that I have to break through people all the time is security is not tools. Security is not implementations of stuff. Securities are decisions. And when you have organizations making good security decisions, in fact, one of the questions at the CISO Showdown, what my opponent had it or Jeff had it, but I thought it was a really good question. And it was about how if your supervisor comes to you as a CISO and said, okay, I am taking all of the security related stuff you're doing, your IDS, your firewalls and this, and I'm giving it over to into IT, and I need you to focus on GRC. What would you do? And I know people in this audience, some people might go, screw that. I like doing that stuff. I don't want to do GRC. And they would walk away. And Jeff had a really great answer. But I was able to do an inject. So that was the thing, is if we could always inject on the question. But I came in, I didn't want to do an inject. What I wanted to say is, well, I did do an inject, but the way I presented is this: what if the supervisor comes or the CIO comes to you and says, hey, I really need help. You have this skill set to help me with GRC. I'm going to take all this stuff off of your plate so you can go do this. You're still going to be involved. You're still going to be oversight on this, but I need you to help me with GRC. We need help with this. Well, that changed the mindset. Everybody in that room was like, screw that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to security. I'm quitting. When I said, no, I need you to do this thing because this is this is what helps us. It's getting that ego out the door. Get it out of there and be, okay, this is what I need to do. So when we're talking about security professionals, most of our job at a certain level, so when you're talking a CISO level or a leadership level or anything like that, it's about making good decisions, not about the tools you deploy. When I hear CISOs say, well, screw this product is better. Okay, maybe it is, but that's not what the organization has. I can use any firewall that you throw at me. I don't care if it's regular IP tables from Linux, if it's I'm not going to say name brands here, but you pick 4 or 5 name brands. They're all firewalls. Some may be better at some things, some may be worse, but I can still protect the organization with them. If that's what they've got, guess what? I'm going to do my darndest to make sure that that is the best deployed firewall that I can make in that organization with those tools that protects their people. So get that ego out of the door. let's start looking at it from the point of view, what do we have to do to protect people? And I think that's, and I'm not saying CISOs are like that. They're not egotistical. I know a few that are, but I think most CISOs, most CISOs truly want to give back. They just don't know how. Most security professionals want to give back. They don't know how. In fact, there's a question here from Garrett, specifically about how they've got a little bit and they want to get into the career. They don't know how.
This one? Is it this one?
Yeah, that's it. So that's the one that I'm looking at. Is you have the info, you have the passion, you have the drive, you don't have any direction. Somebody else said earlier about go to conferences, find a mentor, find that CISO. When you find that CISO that's willing to help you, you know they're a good CISO. And they are willing to. I've helped a lot of people just randomly on LinkedIn. They call me up and they say, "Hey, help me." I love to help. Now I can't do it all the time, time, family, whatever. But Rachel, now I want everyone to understand something about Rachel.
Oh no,
Rachel has helped me more than I have helped her. She doesn't know it, but there are things that I have gotten from her over the last years that I've known her that has helped me be a better CISO and helped me be a better person on LinkedIn and all the things that I've done. So I know she doesn't know that really all that much, but she has. So as much as she says that I have helped her, she has helped me too. Will, I have spent many nights with Will on LinkedIn late at night talking about stuff, just when I was building the SOC and all these. So this group right here, I am really excited to be here because the value that I get from both Will and Rachel over the last few years, this is really important to me. So
I'm not crying. You're crying. Shut up.
You guys that are in the audience who are watching this, you may not know what you're getting from them, but it's a lot. So continue watching, absorb everything they've got to say because it's really valuable.
Aw, we're going to close like that. That's how we're going to close right there. Because we've only got 2 minutes left anyway. We got to close. Will, do you have any? Do you want to follow that? Good luck. Good luck, Chuck.
Well, Jonathan, you brought up some very powerful points that could use a whole lot more discussion. But the part that I love so much in the theme of what you brought up is the humanization of IT, right? Everything with the GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, for those that are not as familiar with it, the whole concept that can apply to the gearheads, the knob twisters, is that you can take those problems and turn them into how do we make this work better, simpler, more efficiently, because we're meeting the needs of people. And I love that stress of bringing it down to people, because that is what it's about. Well done, sir. Well done.
I don't want to end, but we got to go. Now we got to go. You guys, love you. Thank you, Jonathan, for coming and hanging out with us. And Will,
this was fun.
as always.
You're right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And special thanks to all of our folks, all of our viewers and audience members chatting it up. I'm going to give you a tip, okay? You go to the networking button up here in the event, okay? Scroll down that list. Don't use it for sales. I know some of you are in sales. That's not what this is about, okay? This is conversational. This is a community outreach thing, okay? Don't be salesy or I'm going to block you from coming to events, all right? It'll be bad because somebody's going to tell on you.
You don't want to get on the bad side.
Don't get on my bad. I'm real sweet until, right?
She has friends.
All right, I got cybersecurity aunties and uncles that are going to come F you up, all right? Look, okay, so go to the networking tab with genuine intent and sort through, go all the way down to the bottom, scroll down to where it says 93 attendees, right? And hit see all. All right, we're going to walk through this real quick. Now, at the top, you can filter. So you're going to take connections, drop it down, check off your second and third degree, right? Because if your first degree, you're already connected, right? Show results. Now you're going to get hopefully a smaller list reach out to those people, put a message, saw you at the coffee table, thought it would be great to follow your content, right? Again, don't sell them. I will find you and you will be very unhappy. Okay. It's going to be little things at first that you don't notice, but it'll be stuff like, I'll go cancel your doctor's appointments and you'll be upset. All right. Or, the Mormons are going to show up at your door and try to tell you. Right. You may also get some kind of weird subscription to like way more magazines than you ever wanted in your life. Okay. It's just subtle annoyances. All right. Go and connect with those people. And once they connect, start chatting, ask each other about their experience. This is how we make friends. Okay. Go be friends. That's how you do that. And you should come back and do it again every week. And then you all get to be friends.
Build a community.
Yes.
Build that community of people that support you, that support what you're doing, that you can support too. It's not just one direction. You have to support back. And if we build the community stronger, especially in cybersecurity and privacy, then we all improve. We're all more protected. Our families are, our kids are, the future is.
Right. You want to know why the bad half is so good at being bad? It's because they talk to each other a lot. Okay. And there's no pomp and circumstance around, well, I can't talk to that person. They're a C-level and I'm a lowly entry level person. You're not lowly. You have ideas and concepts. Sometimes the C-levels have been stuck in their C-level so long, they don't get new information. They don't get to play with new stuff or exploits or anything. They rely on you that are researching and doing this stuff to chitty chat with them. Go chitty chat, make friends. Okay. You'll find a mentor that way.
Right. Because we tell students all right, when you're in the midst and you're in the midst with professors and that kind of stuff, it's not that they're any smarter that you are in any way, shape, or form. The only difference is mileage. That's it. Get mileage. And that's how you do it. It's just like she's talking.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And whenever you are ready to buy the tools, right, that are not right, to Jonathan's point, they're not exactly important. You come see Rachel and Rachel will help you make sure that the things that are already in place, because sometimes we look at the things that are already in place in your tech stack and we go, well, let's just build a better relationship with your vendor. Right.
Yes.
And then I will help you do that part. It's fine. That was my really horrible sales pitch. There you go. When it comes to your vendor relationships and your tool stack and you need things, or you want somebody to review your contract and make sure or keep track of when those things are due for you, we got you. It's okay. That's what we're here for. We're your friends. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for grabbing a cup and circling up. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel ish. Look for the events coming up on the SecureNation LinkedIn page. Let's see. We got a QR code for that one too. There you go. It's going to take you to the SecureNation LinkedIn. You can join the mailing list. There it is. And get all the linky things to all the linky places. Right. And we will see you next week. You guys have a fabulous weekend. I hear it's going to be beautiful in some parts of the country. So it's going to be awesome. Bye, guys.